We're in charge, so they're looking to us to fix it. And they are frustrated, and I don't blame them. If you ever were raised in a household where someone in the house, when a recession hit, lost their job, you understand the frustration and anger they feel. We are in charge. We have turned it around. We have, but for the local, in the last 15 months, we've created 1.7 million jobs, not nearly enough. And it's been offset by the failure of the Republicans to support the stimulus efforts we had to do counter-cyclical help for the counties and the cities and the states. And so they've laid off 300,000 teachers. They've laid off. So it has net. It's not, we've taken a hit. But I think what they understand is they understand that we've kept it from getting extremely worse. We've made it better, but not good enough. And I think what the 42% represents is how they feel. They don't think enough has been done. And that's what I think is you're beginning to see focus, David. That's why I think we have to take this to the American people and say, this is what we want to continue to do to keep us on the road. It's like the car's out of the ditch, it's moving along, but it's only chugging along at 25 miles an hour. And they're used to going 60.
But I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot of accountability to me to say, because look at the facts. The stimulus plan was big, and you got it passed. Healthcare reform was big. Hold on. But healthcare reform, which you initially thought was a bad idea in terms of political capital, later supported, of course, that got passed. That was sold as part of our economic security. And things have not turned around. So again, there's either limits to what government can do, or you're in a position of saying, look, I know we're in charge, but really it's the other guy's fault. No. That's not real accountability.
There are limits as to how fast government can make up for 8 years of profligate spending, no oversight, putting two wars on a credit card, a health care bill on that credit card, the prescription drug bill, a tax cut of several $1 trillion on the credit card. It takes time to get that done. So there are limits on how rapidly government can work. There are also limits on what government can do when one party decides we're going to do nothing. We're going to do nothing. Nothing. Let me say it again. We're going to do nothing. What have they proposed to stimulate economic growth except the same exact things that, quote, liberated the economy before? Get rid of Dodd-Frank. Let Wall Street go back to its other ways. Make sure that you continue the tax cuts for the wealthy. Matter of fact, increase tax cuts for the wealthy. That has not worked. So it's very difficult in an environment where one team says, not only are we not going to compromise on moving it forward, we just think the old method that got us here works. And so the American people, their frustration is real. But at the end of the day, you've heard me quote it before, David, I think on your show. There used to be a mayor named Kevin White in Boston. I just got elected at age 29. I went up to my first year at age 30 to do an event in Boston for the Democratic Party. I'm in the hotel shaving, and Kevin White was the phenom who got elected in 70, and in 72 he was in trouble for running for re-election. And the gaggle of press got him as he came out of the mayor's office and basically said, well, wise guy, hot shot, how do you feel now? And much more nicely. And he looked at him. I'll never forget what he said. He said, look, don't compare me to the Almighty. Compare me to the alternative. This is about the alternative.
Let me ask you, so just to button that down, your view as you talk about whether the jobs bill is going to be passed is that this president does not have a partner among Republicans on Capitol Hill.
I think he does have a partner in the bulk of the leadership, but they are seriously hamstrung. Look, I can tell you without in any way violating any confidence, I think John Boehner would tell you, I think Eric Cantor would tell you, we had a much bigger proposal that I was personally negotiating with them as to how to deal with the debt crisis. And they could not sell it. I believe that if just Eric Cantor, this is Joe Biden, he's going to have to say no. But I'm just telling you straight, I have a bad habit of saying what I believe.
I don't want to get in the way of that now.
Look, guys, this is just Joe Biden's impression. I truly believe if Eric Cantor, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, John Boehner were allowed to settle a deal in the room, we would have had a deal.
But that's not how it works.
No, it's not how it works.
And they're not strong enough leaders to get it passed. Is that your view?
No, my view is that their party is not the Republican Party that we all know. One of the worst things that has happened to us, in my view, is we need a strong Republican Party. We need a Republican Party that's united. We need a Republican Party you can sit down with and say, okay, this is a deal. Can you deliver? Can you deliver on the deal? And so I think part of what this is about is going over the heads of the Congress to the people, to their constituents, and make the case. And for the people to respond either to our arguments or to theirs and decide whether or not they're going to put pressure on their congresspersons to support this jobs bill or not.
You've said two things that interest me. One is not the almighty, the alternative, and that this is not a strong Republican Party. Not strong enough in this
economic... It's not a united Republican Party.
Okay. Is it strong enough of a Republican Party for its nominee to beat this president?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's strong enough to beat both of us. It's strong enough. Look, no matter what the circumstance, at the end of the day, the American people right now many of them are in real trouble. An even larger percentage have stagnant wages. And a significant majority of the American people believe that the country's not moving in the right direction. That is never a good place to be going into a re-election. Whether it's your fault or not your fault, it's almost sometimes irrelevant. But what I'm counting on what I read out there, this judgment of the American people to decide. They know the hole we're in. They know how far we've come out. They're dissatisfied how fast we're going, and they're going to have to choose whether or not the path we have set the country on is the path that we should continue to go, or we should go back to liberating the economy in the terms of...
The president said this week that he's an underdog. And my question is, as I asked Valerie Jarrett yesterday, with the enthusiasm with which he was swept into office, the tears on election night because people were so full of hope in his leadership, how in the world did that happen? That he became an underdog for re-election?
Well, look, because we inherit... Look, let me make a comparison. When Franklin Roosevelt came into office, we had been in flat depression for 2 years. No one had any doubt about how we got there. When we got sworn in, and we had the inaugural parade, and the president and I were sitting out there on Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House. Afterwards, we both walked back into the Oval. And he sat behind the desk and he jokingly said, "Joe, we bought in too high." If we had been sworn in on March the 20th, it would have been even clearer how we got where we were. But that doesn't matter. We are in charge. We are in charge now. And the fact of the matter is that the American people are dissatisfied for the state of the nation at the moment. That all by itself is enough to make you the underdog. If you just look at it in statistical terms, former presidents in positions where unemployment's been this high have had great difficulty winning. So it's just looking at the facts. But at the end of the day, this ends up being a situation where the American people are going to have to make a choice. And our job as leaders is to lay out clearly for the American people, this is not a referendum, this is a choice. If you don't like what we're doing, understand it. Got it.
Do you prevail?
I think we win.
Who's the nominee against you?
Look, I have spent 30 years trying to figure out the Democratic Party, and with little success, I might add, on nominees. So I have no idea, none.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. I only wish this were Sunday morning.
Thank you. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it.